This is the March 19th. This is the March 19th meeting of the Albany Regional Board of Review. This hearing is being held via video conference call WebEx at the following location: New York State Department of State, 1 Commerce Plaza, room 505, Albany, New York, 12231. The time is now 9:01 and this hearing is officially open. The board members of the board are Laura Ryder, Jackie Coons, Jared Behringer, and attending remotely is Shaheen Badali. My name is Andy Ellis, acting chairman. From the Department of State is Jalfakar Ali, Tom Datula. Before we get started with the hearing, we are adding an item to the agenda that is an administrative matter. Each year, members of the Regional Board of Review are required per Title 19 NYCRR Part 1205.2 to choose a chairperson among its members. Does a member of the board wish to nominate a chairperson?
I make a motion to nominate Andy.
Second.
Jackie Coons has nominated Andy Ellis for chairperson. Are there any other nominations? I'll now poll the board. Laura Ryder,
Aye.
Jackie Coons,
Aye.
Jared Behringer.
Aye.
And Andy Ellis, aye. We'll now enter Andy Ellis as the elected chairman for the Albany Regional Board of Review. No, he's.
Oh, right.
Yep, he's, yep. We'll now enter Andy Ellis as the elected chairman for the Albany Regional Board of Review onto the record for the 2025 calendar year. Okay. We will now hear the scheduled petitions. When you speak, please address the board and give your name, title, and legal address so that our court reporter can have all the information requested. We may have to stop from time to time to consult with our technical staff. In making comments to the board, please provide a descriptive narrative on the matters referring to your exhibits to enable the court reporter to enter these into the record. And our first hearing is petition 2025-0107. This hearing is in the matter of Siena College. Nature of the grievance and relief sought. The petition pertains to an addition of approximately 54,725 square feet in total gross area to an existing building known as Noble Hall, occupancy group B, type 2A, non-combustible protected construction, 4 stories in height, and is located at 515 Loudon Road, Loudonville, New York, 12211, Town of Colony, County of Albany, State of New York. The petitioner is appealing the determination of the code official known as CEO that the second railing should be provided along the stepped aisle of the stair C in Noble Hall between the first and the second floor for safer conditions, better occupant protection of the stepped aisles regarding the applicability of 19 NYCRR Part 1221, 2020 Building Codes in New York State, Section 1029.16, handrails, which states ramped aisles having a slope exceeding 1 unit vertically and 10 units horizontally, 6.7% slope, and stepped aisles shall be provided with handrails in compliance with Section 1014 located either at one or both sides of the aisle within the aisle width. The petitioner is appealing the determination of the CEO to install the second handrail along the stepped aisles of the stair C between the first and second floor of Noble Hall, and will allow the completed construction to remain in place. And at this time, should I be reading the relevant code section or just leave it?
You can be.
Okay. Okay. At this time, I'd like to invite the petitioner to state their case.
Good morning. Thank you for, my name is Jonathan Draper. I'm with WCTS Architects, located at 20 Corporate Woods, Albany, New York. I'm here representing CM College with today's petition. As indicated, we're looking for confirmation that the code analysis that was provided in the Exhibit C and in the balance of the application demonstrates that the construction as completed is code compliant and that the additional railing that was requested by the HJ is not required per section 1029.16. That states the railing can be located either at one or both sides of an aisle or within an aisle. We have provided a railing on one side of the aisle.
Yeah, so, you set with your, at this time, I'd like to offer your CEO to state their case.
Morning, board. Dave Wilson, Town College Building Department, located at 347 Old Mosquito Road, New York. Hi, Dave Wilson. I'm the field inspector that made that determination. I didn't feel that the exceptions required in 1029.16 for relief of the second handrail. It is a stepped aisle. In the commentary, they had provided a quote in the commentary that gave relief to that, but in the exceptions, exception 1 in the commentary says omits the handrail where steeper aisles have seats on both sides, effectively reducing the fall hazard. What they have got is stairs that's a continuation, it's an exit access point. They have stairs coming from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor as part of their emergency egress path. If you turn and go down, it becomes a convenience or an exit access component that's not accessible. They have other accessible means to make that happen. But when you come down the stairs, there's handrails both sides. Turn the corner on the landing, it blossoms out into what they're calling a social staircase, joined by continuation of the stairs on that stepped aisle. However, there's no seats or rails that would stop somebody from going off the edge. Go from 7-inch stairs to 14-inch steps. They have delineated it nicely with copings and stair treads. However, it doesn't, they're visually impaired. They're not going to be able to tell the difference whether they're tapping their cane going off 7-inch landing, which they do with the mid landing. If you look at the pictures, several that show that mid landing. Once you step off of that, the next step, 3 steps away, is a 14-inch drop. If you stay tight to the stairs, there's no delineation, and you're still part of emergency egress or exit access. The main front doors are right there. You're going down the stairs, but there's nothing to stop a fall or somebody to step off there. Exception 2 in the 1029.16 allows for handrails to be omitted where there's a guard at the side of the ramp or stepped aisle with a top rail that complies with the requirements for handrail accessibility. There is no railing along the side. There's no guard along the back. You just turn the corner and it blossoms out into the waterfall. 7-inch stairs along the side. It's Exhibit G, the photo that we're talking about. Like to look at as you come down from the upper stairs, which takes in people coming from the third floor, when you come down those stairs, you have a choice to go right or left. There's nothing at the bottom of those stairs. It takes you to the right or the left, so you can actually turn and go down these stairs. The front doors are right there. To the right of this picture on Exhibit G is the main entry doors for the building. It's a two-story atrium, couple of pairs of glass doors. So most people come in that way. Most people are going to go out that way. However, these stairs come down when you turn the corner. We were just asking for, we have sent in look at Exhibit A. We had asked for enhanced safety by placing a mid-rail, if you will, or a side rail with brakes in it to be able to access that step dial or social seating area. I don't feel it's safe enough for people who are visually impaired or for a group of people coming down to turn the corner and go down. It opens up. I reflected if they put a second staircase in Exhibit A, I offered something similar to this that has brakes to access the social stair feature. And they were receptive to it, but then they came back and said, you know, we'd like to just go with the step dial. We don't feel that we need this bike over. The determination, I want to err on the side of safety if I am wrong. But I don't think I am.
Thank you. Question from the board?
Yes, this is Laura. I have one question. So is this something that the second rail was not shown on the plans and it got the permit without that railing and then only on the field inspection? Or said, you know, this doesn't look right.
Correct. I didn't do the initial plan review. However, I was the lead field inspector at the time that I noticed during construction, I was like, wow, that's what a feature is. How are you going to pick that up, get your second handrail? And you're like, I'm going to put one in. No problem. We had a phone call with Mr. Draper. We exchanged a couple of photos and emails, and they would like to move forward from what I saw in the original hearing case that they wanted relief from that, right? That it's warranted and that it should be required. Because there is no seats, there is no guard, it's ready to fall if somebody comes around the corner. But if they're visually impaired, or just a pack of kids going down the stairs and gets bumped off from a 7-inch step to a 14 step. Nothing to stop that. It's not a dead end feature where you walk up the stairs. It goes to the wall there that shows Dream Big. And then the features to the right, it serves as part of your exit access alone. So it's not just the feature. If it was just a feature, I would be like, okay, you know what you're getting into. If you're coming down from the third floor, second floor, you turn your head to the door, things blossom out without safeguards in place.
Sorry, can we make just one clarification? My name is Pete Gillies, so I'm with WCDS Architects as well. And it doesn't change what Dave is saying. We're going from the second floor to the first floor. And it is from upper open lobby space down to the two-story first floor lobby space. The exit stairs themselves are separated from this area as well. Right? It extends up in an enclosed area to get to the third floor, but then comes down to an open second floor lobby that has access to other stairs as well.
Right, I saw that on the
For the
plan.
board's clarification.
This is Jared from the board. Is there a reason that you're opposed to putting that second stairwell for safety purposes or second handrail?
So I think the contention is that what is installed is compliant. And as asked, We, in the original drawings that were submitted, identified that only a single rail would be provided where it is installed. As Dave indicated, there was a evaluation done for what it would take to install it. And based on the construction that was completed, the implementation of a railing in the location that has been requested would require extensive demolition to provide a code compliant railing that meets the loading of that railing based on the construction that it would be attached to.
This is Jackie from the board. I have a question for Dave. So you said in your final point there that if it didn't have the stairs going up to the next level above, you would find it compliant for the social seating. You said you feel it's unsafe because that stairway is there, but had that stairway not been there, you would find this to be code compliant. If it just went straight up and terminated there.
I don't think it meets the criteria for a stepped aisle either way. Because
But
you
if
don't
the
have seats.
stairway wasn't there, you were just looking
I-
at this as social seating, and that was the aisle to that, you wouldn't have the same safety concern.
I would not. Because it would be a set of stairs for social seating staircase, if you will. And the social seating staircase, I can't find a definition in the building code that says this criteria makes it a social stair. Social stairs and stepped aisles are kind of blended together here to.
Well, so those stairs are accessing the social seating. So if this was just social seating, those stairs would be the access for the students to go to these platform areas and sit and converse. And you wouldn't be opposed to that because you wouldn't have a railing obstructing your path to the seating, correct? You're concerned because someone's coming down from the level above to the landing adjacent to the social seating.
You have the potential for more than one or two people walking up, accessing a feature with stairs that are built in for that feature versus part of the emergency or the exit access component for multiple floors. That puts you, for a crowd of people in an emergency, at a greater volume that this staircase doesn't meet based on a couple of items that we didn't talk about. The fact that it comes down at a width, goes to a landing that's a similar width, but then starts at a narrower width and then blossoms out as it goes to the first floor. So that doesn't meet the requirements for your funneling people together at that point. So it doesn't allow for funneling. You have to maintain that width of staircase all the way to the exit. So, being if it's part of the feature, get to your question, I can see that there's not a number put on it for the number of people that are going to use that in case of emergency to get out and get to the front. And people coming down from the second floor are not going, potentially not going down that flight of stairs to access that component. They might be, but they could be just headed for the door. Be a visually impaired person that, puts their walking stick, says, "Oop, there's a stair, I take a 7th step. Oop, there's a stair, I take a 7th step. Oop, there's a step." They don't reach down to see if it's a 4th step. They just say, "Hey, well, I'm doing this. Maximum is going to be 7. Here we go." Taking 2 steps to the left, hit the first step. You look at the midland, and you can go up with the midland parallel to the wall. Take a 2nd step. Take 2 or 3 steps, and your next step is a 14-inch step. They don't have anything that turns them back. Each man, the staircase is where that exit feature.
So if you need to have access to the social seating and you can't have the handrail impeding that access, would you be agreeable that if the landing was considered part of that stairway above and that was separated and then for someone to turn and then the remaining stairs would be the access to the social seating? Because you can't expect the only access to be the social seating to be without the stairs. That would
Correct.
render the
I agree.
stairs.
But as you're coming down the stairs, if you look at one that shows the landing, the first step off the landing onto the access. That would definitely be a marked improvement in safety for me anyway. If the landing were turned, the guard on the railing, the acrylic railing or whatever.
But as far as the code path that you're following, so you were determining that these stairs from the low level to the intermediate point are stepped aisle stairs, or you were determining that those are means of egress stairs that are part of the stairs up to the second floor?
The second is, there's an upper stair that makes that's bringing people down from the third floor to potentially that set of stairs in an emergency. It will take you down those stairs without seat backs or guards to keep you on those stairs. In the case of, there's not three people going down the stairs, let's go to the social seating area. They're heading for the door. There's more of a rush. There's less patience. It's in the exception that talks about, back to exception 1 there, it says that it effectively reduces the fall hazard. We don't have anything to effectively reduce that fall hazard in that 1029.6 in exception 1. We're not reducing the fall hazard whatsoever. In that corner, you don't have anything to keep you on the lane or keep you in the direction of the stairs as part of the egress component. You spilled right on to social stair component of it. There's not adequate delineation.
Okay, I just wanted to ask those questions. I'm good.
This is Andy from the board. My question to you is, you touched a little bit on the construction of the stairs and not being able to support the load of a handrail. So this obviously has been a consideration and trying to work this out with a building code official. And piggybacking on what Jackie said about maybe a handrail on the landing only to make the turn, I just want to clarify that is a construction,
That's a construction issue.
a big construction issue.
Yes.
What are the stairs? What is that landing made out of?
Metal deck and concrete. The thickness of the concrete does not allow for the anchorage of a plate to the concrete based on the thickness of the concrete, and therefore all of the construction would have to be removed and replaced with a thicker concrete to support the anchorage of bolts that would need to support a railing to comply with the loading requirements.
In all of that deck is supported by light gauge frame. There is no structural steel associated with the social stair and the access aisle stair. But it was configured.
Thank you.
Can you say something? Yep. I recognize I saw it being built. There is an exterior wall there that could be connected to
So I think that
to support at least one end of it, and then you're looking at one post at the end at the top of the stairs. It would have to be.
I think going back to Jackie's suggestion.
Can you turn the mic a little, just so I can hear you a
Oh,
little?
I'm
That's good, thank you.
To go back to the suggestion that's on the table, but I don't know that that specific analysis has been done as we were looking at the full rail. And really the problem being in the broken pieces, if you will, that allowed you access down that had to be connected at specific points, right? You can go back and analyze whether or not a single post or multiple posts along the landing area at the intermediate landing turn.
Yep.
Which would address, I think, Dave, where we're getting to in terms of this discussion, right? So we could analyze that in terms of what needs to be taken apart or what would need to be provided, which may include a plate that runs the length of that landing so that we can tie it back to the exterior wall there, and get sufficient stable support.
My question to the town of Colony, during our deliberation, we'll talk about this. Would it be acceptable if they were to do partial way down that landing? Or does it have to be all the way across the landing to the first step?
I would think you'd want it to go the full width of the mid landing. So that if you are visually impaired and working with the assistance of the walking stick, that keeps you in the path, keeps you in the direction of the 7-inch stairs. I had set exhibit A as a suggestion that talks about the stirrups, basically the railings that are to be very difficult based on the type of construction to get enough girth to support a 200-pound lateral. So I understand what they're up against. Not my design. I saw potential hazard and we're looking for relief from it. Save my piece. I'm good either way, but I would definitely like to see at least on end. Keep you on the path.
So to clarify, if the structural component without a major demolition to the stairs and the seating area, if they were able to do partially down that, let's say a third to halfway, that's not acceptable. You would want to see it all the way across.
Across the mid landing for sure.
Okay.
And again, you're the board, you're all code certified, you see the pictures. Heard my side of the potential traffic flow and potential hazard for the able body and the physically or visually impaired. Whatever you decide will be fine with us, obviously. I just wanted to not be part of something being named and somebody get hurt later on.
Any other
Yes,
questions?
this is Laura. Can you tell me how wide is the stair at the top of that lower run? So once you turn around the landing, is it 4 feet at the top and it gets wider, or is it narrower at the top and it gets?
4 feet from the second floor to the intermediate landing.
Right.
The intermediate landing is 4 feet, and when it turns, it's also 4 feet. And it widens out as it gets to the end. And again, just to repeat what has been said, this stair is an exit access stair that is for convenience purposes. There are all of the required means of egress at other locations through the building that are code compliant. And yeah, as stated, the section 1029.16 handrails. We're not looking for use of any of this that were stated. It very clearly says can be provided either at one side, both sides, or in the middle. And we have provided it on one side, as indicated on the construction documents. And we contend that that is code compliant and are looking for clarification if it is not, where we are deficient in our compliance with code.
Well, I think it's interesting that it seems to me like you want it both ways. Like you just called it an exit access stair. Even exit access stairs have to follow the rules for exit stairs.
And it does.
No, it doesn't. It needs handrails on both sides. A stair. So you can't call it both a stair and a step aisle at the same time. It's one or the other, you know.
So section 1009.1 talks about accessible means of egress, right? And we have provided the accessible means of egress in the building. Section 1011.11, handrails. So this talks about handrails for all stairs, exit access, and means of egress. Flights of stairways shall have handrails on each side and shall comply with section 1014. So that's the section of the building code that talks about the handrail. Within that, while section 1011 specifically states they're required on both sides, there is an exception that indicates within rooms or spaces used for assembly purposes, stepped aisles shall comply with section 1049. And that's where the relief from the second handrail is provided within the building code.
Anybody else?
Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chair, we can see that you can state that it's not a means of egress, but for us, we would understand that if we're looking at plans or something like that. But if someone that's wanting to get out of that building and they see a stairwell, they're going to still use it as a means of egress. And that's my concern.
And so again, understanding that it's a means of egress, I'll still go back to the same section of the building code that doesn't distinguish means of egress from exit access, but says that rooms or spaces used for assembly purposes, including stepped aisles, shall comply with section 1029. 1029.16 is where the relief from a second railing is. And so again, whether it is a means of egress or an exit access there, the relief is still provided in section 1020.
Are we defining the lobby area, the Victoria atrium portion as an assembly space? I mean, it's part of the egress component with the front doors, or there's 3 pairs of front doors right there. It's not in a room space, it's in the atrium. And if you came in those front doors, you're gonna head the shortest path to the front doors and then the stairs that we checked on during the course of one of our inspections, as you came down from the second floor, between the rails, it was 47.5 inches. Between the rail and the outside wall, it was 45.5. And from the railing to the first step on that mid landing that we're talking about, from the face of the railing to the edge was 42 inches. So you're gradually getting narrower to blossom into this component that doesn't not delineate potential hazard sites. And at the bottom, it blossoms out to about 65.5 inches. So you're even further from that wall, you're not within 30 inches to a mid rail or the ramp when you're at the very bottom.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. Do we have anyone online that would like to provide any information for the board?
Shane had a question. Shane?
Do you have
Hi,
any-
it's Shane. No, I don't have any questions. No, thank you. The only thing I'll mention is just my own experience that I shared a picture with Barbara that I know that there's a very similar staircase in the High Line in Manhattan, which is a city-owned park, which does not have a second handrail. So I'll just offer that as contemporaneous information.
I sent that to you. You can share and I sent it to you.
Okay. Thank you. At this time, the board will go into deliberation. Have to go off the record.
Off the record.
We're gonna ask everyone to, you can leave your stuff there. Well, thank you for your patience. Upon hearing the application of Siena College and upon taking testimony and hearing argument hereon at a duly noted hearing before the Capital Region Albany Board of Review held via video conference call WebEx at 1 Commerce Plaza, 99 Washington Avenue, room 505, Albany, New York, 12232 on March 19th, 2025. And upon all other papers in this matter, the board makes the following determination. Nature of the grievance and relief sought, the petition pertains petition of approximately 54,725 square feet in total gross area to an existing building known as Noble Hall occupancy, groups B, type 2A, non-combustible protection construction, 4-story in height, and is located at 515 Loudon Road, Loudonville, New York, 12211, Town of Colony, County of Albany, State of New York. The petitioner is appealing the determination of the code enforcement official that a second railing should be provided along the stepped aisle of stair C of Noble Hall between the first and second floor for safer condition, better occupant protection of the stepped aisles regarding the applicability of 19 NYCRR Part 1221, 2020 Building Codes of New York State, Section 1029.16 handrails, which states ramped aisles having a slope exceeding 1 unit vertically and 15 units horizontally, 6.7% slope. And the stepped aisles shall be provided with handrails in compliance with section 1014 located either at one or both sides of the aisle or within the aisle width. The petitioner is appealing the determination of the CO to install a second railing along the stepped aisle of stair C between first and second floor of Noble Hall and to allow the completed construction to remain in place. Findings of facts. Subject petition pertains to an addition of 54,725 square feet, occupant group B, construction type 2A, 4-story in height, to an existing building known as Noble Hall, the Siena College campus located at 515 Loudon Road, Loudonville, New York, 12211. Number one. Number two, the primary purpose of the stair C could be analyzed to serve between the first and second floor, or it could be analyzed as a connection from the stepped aisle stair to the nearest adjacent floor, but is not one of the required two means of egress exits from the second floor. The occupant load of this assembly space is less than 50 persons per section 303.1.2 of the 2020 Building Codes of New York State. This area has been classified as a B occupancy. Number three, stair C has been constructed per building permit issued by the Town of Colony on July 12, 2023, as a part of the project, providing a handrail on one side of the stepped aisle. Number four, a temporary certificate of occupancy has also been granted on December 20th, 2025. The temporary certificate of occupancy allowed for the building occupancy, but prohibits the use of stair C stepped aisle without the addition of the second handrail. Number five, code enforcement official of the Town of Colony identified a concern for the handrail configuration in the area exit access stair C stepped aisle between the first and second floor, and has indicated that the second railing should be provided along the stepped aisle of the stair C stepped aisle between the first and second floor of Noble Hall for safer, better occupant protection without citing the code section to the petitioner. Findings of fact 6, the petitioner does not agree with the recommended request of the CEO that the second railing should be provided along the stepped aisle, stair C stepped aisle between the first and second floor of the Noble Hall, and argued that a single railing on one side of the stepped aisle is code compliant. Number 7, the CEO does not support the position of RDP and therefore does not support the appeal or granting of the variance that would allow the elimination of the second required railing. In conclusion of law, in review of the above findings, the board sustains the appeal for the petitioner and therefore reverses the determination of the code enforcement official. Sufficient evidence has not been provided by the code official that granting the appeal will substantially adversely affect the code's provision for health, safety, and security. Determination Wherefore, it is determined that the applicant appealed the determination of the code enforcement official is granted and determined as reversed to be granted with the following, with no conditions. I'd ask for a motion from the board.
I'll motion.
Jackie Cronin's motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Jared Berenger, second. I'll poll the board members. Ms. Coombs?
Aye.
Ms. Ryder?
No, nay.
Mr. Berenger?
Aye.
Mr. Badali?
Aye.
And Mr. Ellis? Aye. Let the record show that we have 4 ayes and 1 nay. This decision is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of the application. Chairman Andy Ellis and members. Technical question. Do I leave Laura's name out of this?
Yeah, you don't have to read those things.
Okay,
That's about it.
okay. So ordered. The board has a couple of comments.
Yeah, we appreciate that the code was analyzed the way that it was and it allowed for this condition, but we do still strongly suggest that you investigate the possibility of at least doing something up there at the landing, because that is where the transition from the stepped aisle part of the code could be transitioned to an egress stair or a landing for an egress stair. So it might not be a bad idea to have some type of obstruction there, but there's no specific path in the code that requires that. So that limits our ability to require that also, because we can't say yes to part of the appeal and not the other part of the appeal. We had to choose between entirely correct or entirely incorrect. And the code led us to more correct, but still that one possibility, if it can be achieved, it would be in everybody's best interest to look into it.
Noted, thank you.
And same notion, we understand that you're concerned, but the way that it was reviewed and then
Oh, so we take the onus off of me as the field inspector.
understood.
I thank everyone. That concludes that case. Move on to our second petitioner. Thank you very much. What time is it?
Well, the record now, or stay on it.
No, I'm staying on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, that's.
We will now hear our second hearing. Petition number 2025-0093. This hearing is in a matter of New York State Department of Health in Wadsworth Center. Nature of the grievance and relief sought. This petition pertains to a variance seeking relief, increase in the number of fire compartments allowed for hazardous material control area specified in BCMYS to apply the allowable number of fire components for higher education laboratory suites and to increase the percentage of the maximum allowed quantity per control area, and to appeal the percentage of the maximum allowable quantity per lab suite specified for higher education laboratory. The purpose building of construction type 1B, fully sprinklered, totaling 655,600 square feet, 5 stories in height, be known as the New York State Department of Health Life Science Public Health Laboratory at Wadsworth Center, located at the Harriman State Campus, City of Albany, County of Albany, New York State. Public notice was published in the New York State Register of February 19th, 2025 issue. The petitioner is seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, Building Code Table 414, period 2, designed and number of control areas, which states the laboratory on the 4th and 5th floors above grade are allowed 2 control areas for each floor. And 19 NYCRR Part 1221, Building Code Table 414.2.2, designer and number of control areas, which states that the percentage of the maximum allowable quantity per control area shall not be greater than 12.5%. The petitioner is seeking relief for a variance to allow the use of section 428 of the Building Code, higher education laboratories, which per table 428.3, design and number of laboratory suites per floor, allows that where a building contains both laboratory suites and control areas, the total number of laboratory suites and control areas within the building shall not exceed the maximum number of laboratory suites and the maximum allowable quantities of hazardous materials in control area in accordance with table 428.3. And NYCRR Part 1225, the Fire Code Table 5003.8.3.2, design and number of control areas, which states that the laboratory on the 4th and 5th floors above grade are allowed 2 control areas each floor. And 19 NYCRR Part 1221, the Fire Code Table 5003.8.3.2, design and number of control areas, which states that the percentage of maximum allowed quantity per control area shall not be greater than 12.5%. Petitioner seeking relief for a variance to allow the use of section 30804 or 3804 of the Fire Code, higher education laboratory, which per table 3804.1.1, design and number of laboratory suites per floor allow that where a building contains both laboratory suites and control areas, the total number of laboratory suites and control area within a building shall not exceed the maximum number of laboratory suites in accordance with table 3804.1.1 and percentage of maximum allowable quantities of hazardous materials in laboratory suites in accordance with table 308.1.1. And at this point, I'd like to open it up to the petitioner to state their case. Please speak your name, legal address.
Sure. David Schwartz, HOK Architects, 5 Bryant Park, New York, New York, 10018. We're here on behalf of DASNY and Department of Health. We are design architects for the Wadsworth Center going on campus. Wadsworth is a unique sort of institution. They wear multiple hats. First and foremost, they're responsible for the health and safety of the state of New York citizens. So they do diagnostic testing for screening, for rabies, environmental testing of health of water and air, etc. The second hat they wear is they educate the public. They also have a component with the University of Albany where they confer degrees on public health. And the third hat they wear is research oriented. So that is where we're looking for some relief. Not unlike other institutions, University of Albany, Buffalo, NYU, they have what's called principal investigators who do research in biomedical science. And so the nature of having, they're all B-occupancy labs. Some of the labs, the majority of the labs are diagnostic labs, and then a portion of the labs are dedicated to research. And so the code, if we apply sort of the higher education variance to the research labs, it allows for more chemical usage in that area. We're only applying for that usage on the 4th floor where we have these research labs. And I would be happy to turn it over to Ajay Prasad at Jensen Hughes, who helps support the documents that you've been reading.
Hello, this is Ajay Prasad with Jensen Hughes, life safety consultant at 254 West 31st Street, New York, New York. And so what, as David had mentioned, is we are looking to apply the higher ed lab provisions to level 4 of the building. It is our belief and understanding that with the big drop off in maximum allowable quantities for certain chemicals that are regulated by the building code and fire code under the control area method, which is a general method of limiting the amounts of hazardous materials and chemicals, that those limits would inhibit or restrict the ability of Department of Health to carry out its mission. And so what we are proposing is to apply the higher ed laboratory provisions, we'll just say higher ed provisions, to the 4th floor labs. These provisions were added into the 2018 edition of the International Building Code, upon which the 2020 state codes are based. These were put in to recognize that higher ed lab or higher ed institutions have needs that cannot be met by the control area code provisions, which are general in nature. So those control area provisions just apply to any buildings. These are very specific and I believe applicable to the types of research that they're doing or will do in this building. The 2 conditions cited in the code change were for recognizing the lower chemical density in research labs and ongoing staff oversight by special experts in laboratory safety. And so the trade-offs to allow the higher quantities of chemicals are based on several factors. So one is increased fire compartmentation. Again, we have, we do have higher chemical or higher limits. However, we have more compartmentation. We have more fire barriers to separate the areas. This is a very large, should point out, obviously with 600,000 square feet, we have very large floor plates. And so having that 12.5% limit is prohibitive to having a lot of labs on a floor. We recognize we have lower densities of chemicals. This is not, for production of any specific processes. So they're doing research and testing. And we have very robust environmental health and safety expertise who will be monitoring the activities inside the labs. And those include things like periodic safety audits and training. Our proposal is that even though the facility is not exclusively used by higher ed institution, and it is, some of the programs are affiliated with SUNY Albany, that the variance is appropriate for this facility on level 4, given that we have the operational administrative controls that meet or exceed the requirements of higher ed labs. And we believe that would be acceptable to the state. And so, when we look at this and say, how is our lab different than if we had a higher ed lab somewhere else in the state? And in our eyes, the answer is it's not. In fact, we have experts in laboratory operations and lab safety that would be watching over these labs. And so that, in our mind, kind of is the basis for that. From a perspective of the actual design of the building, we meet all the requirements, which is to provide the fire separations, the increased compartmentation that we believe offsets the risk of a fire spread across a larger area. So we do have more fire barriers there. We have liquid tight floors. Again, that's a requirement of the higher ed lab provisions that are not in control area requirements. We just separate non-laboratory areas from the laboratory suites. And when we say non-laboratory areas, we mean things like administrative offices, training rooms, conference rooms, things that are where the lab staff will not necessarily be. But again, that increases the level of safety there. We will have on level 4, we are proposing to have 2 lab suites. So it matches, we're allowed to have 2 control areas or 4 lab suites on level 4. We are proposing to have two lab suites. So that is in line with what would be allowed for control areas. We are using the density or applying the density limits for class 1 flammable liquids. So again, we're reducing the size, the potential fire size, by limiting how large these containers will be for class 1 flammable liquids, and also for the container sizes and also for waste containers. So all 3 of those, the density and container sizes, and including for gases and solids, all of those help reduce the hazard or the risk of any incident involving chemicals. All the chemical handling will be done in accordance with the fire code. We have examples of the operating emergency procedures and preparedness that needs to be done. Again, this is being handled by the state, by Department of Health. And they worked with SUNY Albany on some of these safety plans. There will be chemical safety reviews and handling by special experts. So these are people who have training to deal with this, like chemical safety hygiene experts. And there is we provided as an attachment a summary of the chemical safety program, including the description of certifications for individuals that are going to be handling chemicals or considered as special experts. We have chemical fume hood exhaust fans that are equipped by standby power. This, again, is not a requirement of the codes for either control areas or higher ed labs. What this does is it maintains continuous exhaust in the event of power failure in the building, and it's a commonly accepted industry practice. But this way, if there is an incident there, that it keeps exhausting it out, which again is useful for life safety for the laboratory occupants. And with respect to egress, every fire area higher education laboratory will have at least one exit that is not in another zone. So everybody in a laboratory area has an access to their exit and access to another one. So it's not, we're increasing that level of safety by giving them more options that don't require them to go back into an area where there may be a fire. And as we provided in the documentation, a comparison that shows what's required for control areas and what's required for higher ed labs, and any differences. And in all cases, we are exceeding the design requirements that are required for control areas in our design. And again, this is based on the building, the specific building, as being the public health lab in New York State, and what's to be one of the premier laboratories, public health laboratories in the country. And we have that the comparison here. So I will now turn it over and say, we believe that these provisions and the design provisions that we meet already, and the additional operational safety requirements that we will adhere to should compensate to allow us to use provisions that are already in the code for facilities where it may not be to a level that rises to the level of the importance or level of safety experts that will be in the public health lab. Thank you.
This is Shaheen. I just want to mention that the meeting is currently muted on Zoom. So the board's mic is currently muted.
Can you hear us?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Back in action.
Thank you.
Back on the record.
Back on the record.
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
Oh,
back to the lab.
Sorry,
So
can
I'm
you
going to
please
repeat my
restate
question
your
just so
question?
it's
Thank you.
available to everybody. So my question is just a sort of a quick synopsis about the difference between lab suites and control areas and why fourth floors it's called lab suites, but the lower levels are called control areas.
Ajay, do you want to answer that?
I can answer at a very high level, which is that we are able to meet the requirements for the control areas on the lower floors. And so we limited our variance application to just level 4.
Okay.
The control area is an IBC construct.
Right.
Prior to the 2018 change to higher education labs, NFPA does lab suites. So in New York City, we work with lab suites. And it's primarily because it allows chemical quantities higher up in a building. Control areas limits the amount of chemical quantities higher in a building. So as you go up, it just sort of cuts percentages down. So on fourth floor on the lab control area scenario, we have 12.5% allowed maximum allowable quantities of chemicals. Lab suites allow 75%. So essentially, we're trying to increase the amount of chemicals available on the fourth floor for the researchers on the floor.
But to the, to the person that walked in, it's basically, it would look the same. There are labs on the lower levels and there are labs on the upper levels. We're
Correct.
just calling it a
Yes.
different classification
Correct.
to get what we want here. Okay.
Increasing the chemical
Yes.
quantity. I will say that the alternate is that if we continue with control areas, we'll be moving chemicals through the building more frequently. So we'll have less chemicals on the fourth floor, we'll have more on the first floor, but we'll be constantly sort of trying to feed the researchers,
Understood.
which from my point of view, is less safe.
Understood. Okay. And so I assume that someone somewhere does actual calculations on every type of chemical, what's allowed, and then the
Yes.
percentage that you're
Yes, and
getting.
this is,
Yes.
they are the premier lab in the state, and I've worked up all across the state, and they do it to the T better than anybody. So they actually know what's in each lab, and they monitor.
Okay, it's sort of a different approach, like, we're so used to working in like percentages of square footage allowed, and like, this has nothing to do with the square footage of the lab, and everything to do with the amount of chemicals in the lab, which we don't really even have information
Yeah.
on if we're.
Yeah,
The
they'll
experts
have to have a inventory, a real inventory, hazardous material inventory statement and a tracking system that says what chemicals are going in and what chemicals are going out. And those are all based on the limits that are prescribed for the higher ed labs. So it lists limits for class 1 liquids, class 2 oxidizers, everything in those tables will be tracked.
Another question I have is on this diagram on the 4th floor, are the red lines the fire barrier? So is it just the fire barrier between lab suite 1 and lab suite 2, or are there fire barriers within the lab suites themselves? Like there's lighter weight black lines delineating other areas, or is just that the fire area is the entire lab suite?
Correct.
Okay, got it. That was it for my questions on that. Oh, nope, one more. So in the Jensen Hughes report that accompanies this, so I think in my initial read, it seemed like you were asking to have more lab suites on the 4th floor, but if table 428.3 for higher ed labs allows 4, and you're only asking 2, you're not really asking for more lab suites. You're just asking for more chemicals.
We're just asking for them to be characterized as
Right.
lab suites, which allows more chemicals.
Understood, okay. But you're not asking for more than allowed as a higher ed lab,
No,
whatever that's
No,
allowed.
we
no,
could increase the amount of lab suites. We decided not to.
Okay,
Yeah, we are complying. If this were University of Life Science Public Health Lab, it would be strictly complying with the provisions for higher ed labs.
okay.
This is Andy from the board, just general questions. I see in lab suite 1, there's actually 1 set of stairs in the enclosed area,
Right.
and lab suite 2 has 4. And that's correct. Now, lab suite 1, they have access to between the 2 lab suites and the atrium to get out.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that atrium does go all 4 floors, the stairs.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. When we say, we have multiple exit stairs. When we talk about egress, no one's actually if you're in another lab suite, you wouldn't go through the lab work area of another lab suite. You would stay within the corridor, exit access corridor system.
So lab suite 1, their only other option besides the stairs would be to go into the atrium, is my point. They would
Well, they
go into
could,
that lab suite.
yeah.
Yeah,
If they go into the other lab suite, they would have access to the other exits in there.
Right.
We are, part of this is obviously, the building will have, voice alarm and, so they would be able to identify where there's a fire, but, all the exit stairs are off the exit access corridors. They're not in the actual lab work areas where people are handling chemicals.
The plan, perhaps, set a more detailed plan, that there's what we call a lab corridor.
Yeah,
Which goes
okay.
down the slide.
And that corridor in lab suite 1 leads to the atrium, is what my point is. That whole-
It leads to the
Yeah.
stair in lab suite 2 as well.
Okay,
So there's 5
Yeah.
easy stairs in this building.
This is Laura from the board. So is the corridor fire rated from the lab area itself or no? It's, okay,
No,
but it's separated with some type of.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're full height walls. 'Cause we also, within each of these laboratory work areas, there is generally the corridors are positively pressured because we're exhausting from the lab work areas to keep any fumes, stray fumes or, vapors out of the corridors.
Any other questions from the board? Shaheen, do you have any questions or comments?
The only question I had, just for a point of clarification, and maybe I missed it, was the actual amount of control area in levels 1 through 3, was that provided? And just to understand the summation of the total amount of area that has hazardous materials on it?
Yes, so we do have labs on all 4 floors.
Right.
We meet the number of control areas that are allowed on each of the lower 3 floors. So in the table, we have 2 control areas each on levels 3 and 2, and then 4 control areas on level 4.
Yeah, the only thing I'll provide for the board in terms of information, we recently had a case in Hudson Valley for Regeneron.
We lost you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry, my headphones died out. For Regeneron, where we did approve them, but we had that consideration where, we wanted to make sure that the totality of the building didn't exceed a certain amount. I don't see that as being a problem here, and that was the only point. Thank you.
Do we have anybody else on the call that has information? In this case, we have the authority having jurisdiction is DASNY.
Correct.
So you are the,
The architects of record,
And-
DASB is the AHJ.
okay. We have nobody from DASNY.
DASB is on the line.
Yeah,
they're on.
the line.
Hi, good morning, board review members. My name is Andrew Fuller. I'm the Senior Code Administrator with the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, 515 Broadway, Albany, New York, 12207. DASNY has reviewed the variance application. We have provided input, and we do not have any objections or anything further to add to the request at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller.
Thank you.
At this time, if we have no further questions or go into deliberation, I'd like to go off the record. Yeah, please. Thank you. I'm hearing the application of matter of New York State Department of Health, Wadsworth Center, and upon taking testimony and hearing argument hereon at a duly noted hearing before the Capital Region Albany Regional Board of Review, held via video conference call WebEx at 1 Commerce Plaza, 99 Washington Avenue, room 505, Albany, New York, 12232, on March 19th, 2025. And upon all other papers in this matter, the board makes the following determination. Nature of the grievance and relief sought. The petition pertains to a variance seeking relief to increase the number of fire departments allowed for hazardous material control areas specified in Building Code in New York State to apply the allowable number of fire compartments for higher education laboratory suite and to increase the percentage of the maximum allowable quantity per control area, and to apply the percentage of the maximum allowable quantity per lab suite specified for higher education laboratories. The proposed building of construction type 1B, fully sprinklered, totaling 655,600 square feet, 5 stories in height, to be known as the New York State Department of Health, Life Science, Public Health Laboratory at Wadsworth Center, located at the Harriman State Campus, City of Albany, County of Albany, New York State. The public notice was published in the New York State Register's February 19, 2025 issue. The petitioner seeking relief from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, the Building Code, Table 414.2.2, design and number of control areas, which states that the laboratories on the 4th and 5th floor above grade are allowed 2 control areas each floor. 19 NYCRR Part 1221, the Building Code Table 414.2.2, design and number of control areas, which states the percentage of maximum allowable quantity per control area shall not be greater than 12.5%. Petitioner is seeking relief for a variance to allow the use of Section 428 of the Building Code Higher Education Laboratory, which per table 428.3, design and number of laboratory suites per floor, allows that where the building contains both laboratory suites and control areas, the total number of laboratory suites and control areas within the building shall not exceed the maximum number of laboratory suites and the maximum allowed quantities of hazardous materials in control areas in accordance with table 428.3. And 19 NYCRR Part 1225, the Fire Code Table 5003.8.3.2, design and number of control areas, which states that the laboratories on the 4th and 5th floor above grade are allowed 2 control areas each floor. And NYCRR Part 1221, the Fire Code Table 5003.8.3.2, design and number of control areas, which states that the percentage maximum allowed quantity per control area shall not be greater than 12.5%. The petitioner is seeking relief for a variance to allow the use of Section 30804 of the Fire Code Higher Education Laboratories, which per table 308.4.1.1, design and number of laboratory suites per floor, allows that where the building contains both laboratory suites and control areas, the number of laboratory suites and control areas within the building shall not exceed the maximum number of laboratory suites in accordance with table 3804.1.1, and the percentage of allowable maximum quantities of hazardous materials in laboratory suites in accordance with table 3804.1.1. Findings of facts. Number 1, the subject petition pertains to the proposed building totaling 655,600 square feet, 5 stories in height, to be known as the New York State Department of Health, Life Science, Public Health Laboratory at the Wadsworth Center, located at the Harriman State Campus, City of Albany, County of Albany, New York State. Number 2, the proposed subject building is properly classified Chapter 3 of the Building Code as a mixed-use building with the primary occupancy B, business as it applies to public research and development laboratories. Additionally, uses include assembly A2 cafeteria or food service areas, factory F1 and F2 moderate and low hazard manufacturing, small scale batch processing, H3 high hazard materials, classified flammable, caustic, and reactive materials, storage S1 and S2 low and moderate hazardous storage, additional chemicals and material. Number 3, the proposed subject building is correctly classified for Chapter 6 of the Building Code as constructed, Type 1B, fully sprinkled, totaling 655,600 square feet, 5 stories in height. Number 4, the proposed subject building design requirements for the laboratory and control area spaces and allowable number of these spaces are reduced both in the number of allowed control areas and the maximum allowed hazardous material allowed as the height or level of the spaces increase. Hence, as the height of the building increases, both the number of control areas and allowable hazardous materials and control areas are decreased. This imposes an adverse effect for low-rise research laboratories. Number 5, the petition requests that the proposed facility, New York State Department of Health Life Science Public Health Laboratory at Wadsworth Center, which is also part of the University of Albany School of Public Health, into the College of Integrated Health Sciences in the Wadsworth Center scientists who perform basic and applied public health research at the Wadsworth Center and also hold SUNY faculty appointments. These scientists have full academic appointments at the university and mentor MPH, MS, and PhD graduate students, as well as postdoctoral associates who do their laboratory research in the Wadsworth Center laboratories. The Wadsworth Center currently has approximately 35 scientists with academic appointments in the departments of biomedical sciences and environmental health sciences, and a total of approximately 30 graduate students doing research in the Wadsworth Center laboratories. Number 6, the petitioner requests that the laboratory and control areas follow the requirement of the Building Code Section 428, Higher Education Laboratories, and the Fire Code Chapter 38, Higher Education Laboratories. This will allow the maximum number of laboratory suites shall be in accordance with Table 428.3. Where a building contains both laboratory suites and control areas, the total number of laboratory suites and control areas within the building shall not exceed a maximum number of laboratory suites in accordance with Table 428.3. Number 7, the application of Section 428 Higher Education Laboratory will allow maximum allowable quantities of hazardous material in control areas in accordance with Table 428.3. Number 8, the petitioner notes that in the narrative that allowing the life science public health laboratories building to apply the code requirements of higher education laboratories will provide a more effective, efficient faculty or facility that is tasked to provide research and development for the health needs of the citizens of New York State in conjunction with the faculty and students at the University of Albany. Number 9, the local code official has been consulted in this matter and supports the granting of the variance. Conclusion of law. In view of the above findings, testimony, and documentation presented before it, the board finds that strict compliance with the code would entail practical difficulties, unnecessary hardship, or would otherwise be unwarranted because such would inhibit achievement if some other important public policy or would be unnecessary in light of alternatives which, without a loss of level of safety, achieve the intended objective of code. That the granting of this variance will not substantially adversely affect the Uniforms Code provision for health, safety, and security. Determination, wherefore it is determined that the application for a variance from 19 NYCRR Part 1221, Table 414.2.2, and Part 1225, Table 5003.8.3.2 be and is hereby granted with the following conditions. Number 1, that the building design applied the Building Code Section 428, specifically the Table 428.3, for the allowable number of laboratories or control areas, along with Fire Code Chapter 38 as it applies to be the maximum allowable laboratories and control areas. Number 2, that the building design applied Building Code Section 428, specifically the Table 428.3 for percentage of maximum allowable quantities of hazardous materials in laboratory suites in accordance with along with the Fire Code Chapter 38 as it applies to the maximum allowable quantities of hazardous materials in laboratories and or control areas. have a motion from the board.
I'll make the motion, Laura.
This is Jackie, I'll second it.
I'll poll the board members. Ms. Coons?
Aye.
Ms. Ryder?
Aye.
Mr. Berenger?
Aye.
Mr. Bodaldi?
Aye.
And Mr. Ellis, aye. Let the record show that 5 ayes, 0 nays. This decision is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. Chairman Andy Ellis and board members Laura Ryder, Jackie Coon, Jared Berenger, Shaheen Badaldi all concur. So ordered. Thank you.
Good one.
Happy you too. And the third hearing of the day is petition number 2025-008. This hearing is in the matter of Burns Management.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dan Morelli, Morelli Design and Construction, with an office located at 5159 Western Turnpike in the village of Altamont, state of New York, 12009. How is everybody today?
Good.
Morning.
Just to let everybody know, I do have the next 4 applications. So as not to confuse myself, I'm actually going to read off a script for each one. Because each one, as closely resembled as they are, they're slightly different, and I don't want to confuse myself or the board.
No problem.
Okay. In any case, I'm representing Burns Management and a request for relief from New York State MRL Section 30, which requires cellar ceilings to be fire retardant or equipped with a sprinkler system. Burns Management owns a 3-story, 40-unit structure located at 110 to 114 Union Street in the city of Schenectady, New York, classified as an R2 occupancy with 3B construction and a total gross floor area of approximately 13,800 square feet, which includes a partially finished full basement. The building was constructed circa 1948 and lays out as follows. The full basement, which is approximately 3,450 square feet, is partially finished, has no sprinkler system, and currently has multiple 10-year battery-operated smoke and carbon monoxide detectors throughout the level, which will be completely removed from the premises and replaced with hardwired, interconnected, UL-rated, code-compliant smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at the same locations, including common hallways, stairwells, and one in each dwelling unit. There is currently a self-contained boiler room within the basement with a finished ceiling and one fire-rated self-closing door into the room. The stairways leading from the basement to the other levels of the building are open. However, finished ceilings are present throughout the egress corridors and above the stairways. There is a common laundry area in the basement of the structure, which is used by the tenants, including gas and electric washers and dryers, which appear to be properly vented to the exterior. Upon completion of the proposed hardwired, interconnected, UL-rated, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detection system, the property owner agrees to hire an independent agency to inspect the detection system on an annual basis and file an on-site report prior to contacting city codes for the required inspections. The first floor is approximately 3,450 square feet and currently has 1 and 2 bedroom dwelling units. Each individual dwelling unit is finished with plaster or drywall ceilings and currently have 10-year lithium battery operated combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at designated locations throughout the building, which will be swapped out with hardwired, interconnected, UL-rated, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at similar locations. Also present are 10-year lithium battery-operated smoke detectors inside each bedroom. Self-closing doors from common areas into each dwelling unit are present, and multiple code-compliant means of egress as defined by the multi-residence law, which shall all remain. All of the devices proposed to be swapped out shall be disabled and removed from the premises upon completion of the hardwired interconnected system. There are currently fully charged fire extinguishers tested annually and tagged, mounted to the wall in all the common areas, as well as hardwired emergency lights and illuminated exit signs as the designated locations throughout the building. The second and third floors are laid out similar to the first floor as previously described. The applicant is seeking relief from New York State MRO Section 30 for cellar ceilings based on the following findings of fact. The structure has been inspected yearly in recent years for compliance with the 2020 New York State Building Code of the City of by the City of Schenectady Code Enforcement Office for issuance of rental certificates, and the property owner proposes to install and maintain the above listed devices to meet the requirements for hardwired, interconnected, UL-rated, code-compliant smoke detection system throughout the building, as well as fire-rated and or self-closing entrance doors where required, if not already present. Installing a fire retardant ceiling in the unfinished common areas of the pre-existing basement, or installing a sprinkler system would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden on the property owner and their tenants due to the high cost of performing these tasks, as well as the MEP obstructions currently present in the exposed portion of the basement, making the installation physically impracticable. The alternate measure to achieve the intended objective is the presence of the hardwired, interconnected, UL-rated, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors as designated locations throughout the building as noted. The existing 10-year lithium battery-operated smoke detectors inside each bedroom. The self-closing doors from common areas at each individual dwelling unit. The fire-rated self-closing door leading to the self-contained boiler room in the basement, and the multiple code-compliant means of egress that are present today. Based on the information provided in today's testimony and the supporting documentation that we previously submitted, the property owner respectfully requests relief from New York State MRO Sections 30 for cellar ceilings. So at this time, I will field any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Dan, again for your details in these cases. My first question is, in the common areas, there are unfinished ceilings, like in the laundry room, which is in the basement. Is that correct?
Let me check that 1 sec. The laundry room may have a finished ceiling. Let me just check on that. Give me 1 second to check on that.
Yep. Is it permitted?
We've had other ones.
Where
Yeah.
they're isolated?
You are correct. The laundry room is an unfinished ceiling.
Were they isolated from tenant use or were they isolated from access to?
They're isolated from like the utility.
Oh, you're saying where the,
Yeah.
like, boilers and stuff were on
Yeah.
a separate?
The boiler is, they said the boiler is fully.
Yeah, so it's opposite, so this one's not,
Okay.
that one is, so they're not together, if that's what you're
Right.
wondering.
I guess my question is that laundry room area is it blocked off to the rest of the tenants have access to the rest of the basement?
The tenants have access to the laundry room, but not the boiler room, correct?
Well,
The boiler room is self-contained in a separate location of the building.
yeah, so the laundry room, is that an enclosed area with a door to the rest of the basement?
No, you go down an open set of stairs and it leads right into the laundry room. There is no door.
Okay, now, the laundry room, is that the entire basement area or, you know?
No,
that's
just a
what I'm trying to
portion.
get. Just a portion, and that's blocked off from the rest of the uninhabited basement.
Correct.
So there's no storage in the basement, just the laundry room.
Correct.
This is Laura from the board. Are there 2 stairs down to the basement?
Yes, there are.
Okay. And when you say in your narrative that they're open, does that mean that there's no finish on the walls, like those studs are open, or does that mean there's no door at either the top or the bottom of the stair?
The walls and ceiling are finished, leading to in the stairways leading to the basement and in the common hallways leading to the stairwell. But it's an open stairway with it. There are no doors.
Okay. On either stair to the basement. They're both the
Correct.
same.
That's correct.
Okay. And there are some apartments in the basement, right?
There's
Are
just one
they-
apartment. It's basically an on-site maintenance apartment, but they never use it. I mean, they could use it, but the maintenance gentleman lives in town, so he has his own place.
Okay.
But there is one apartment in the basement, yes.
Okay, and that would have access to one stair only? Like, they don't really have access to the other stair, right? That's like at the other end of the
That
basement.
apartment is unique in the sense that it's literally located right next to the stairwell, and there's about 6 steps that lead directly to the exterior.
Okay,
But correct, just one exit.
okay. Just trying to get the lay of the land.
The building's too big for me to draw. I apologize. We used
Yeah,
to do
no, it's
drawings for
okay.
you, but
Right, and so another thing in your narrative, you say that combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors will be replaced with hardwired ones.
that's
But
correct.
there are, but within the apartment, like within the bedrooms, the battery operated ones are gonna remain? So this is
Correct.
just okay,
So basically, the
And-
carbon, the new system, other than the pre-existing smokes in the bedrooms, the new interconnected hardwired detection system, which is going to be a combination smoke carbon throughout the building. When one goes off, obviously they all go off. They will not be connected to the smokes in the bedroom.
okay. So it's more like a building-wide system, so like, and they'll also be attached, connected to the detectors in the basement. So again, if there's
Correct.
fire in the basement, every unit gets notified,
That's correct.
okay? Just not in their bedrooms, somewhere else like within their living space, right?
That's correct.
Yep, okay. Got it.
Each dwelling unit will have its own hardwired CO detector, combination detector, which is connected throughout the building to the common areas, the basement, each floor level, the stairways. So there will be definitely notification throughout the building. When one goes off, they'll all go off. And the independent battery operated smokes in the bedroom, they're gonna be independent from the system.
Understood, okay.
Any other questions? Board? Shaheen, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just have a few, thank you. So, sorry, so all those dryers that are downstairs, they're all gas fired, is that correct?
Correct.
Cool. And those exhausts, those flex ducts that come out of those dryers, do they go up to the roof, or do you know if they're going out just right there?
They go
to
out through the
side?
exterior wall of the building.
Cool, okay. So it's not a long run.
No,
Okay, great. And then within the apartment, is it all gas stoves?
no, electric.
It is electric. Okay, because I saw a lot of gas meters, so that was my question. So generally speaking, the gas usage in the building is all contained in the basement?
Correct.
It is, cool. Okay. I gotta say, my only real concern is that gas usage, and I'm not too hot on the idea of having gas dryers with combustible material above them exposed. So that's my only real reservation that I see here, and so I just want to mention that. Thank you.
This is Laura on the board again. It's hard to tell from the photos. Is it what, one laundry room? Like, so the laundry unit, the appliances that we see, you know, it looks as if it almost could be two separate rooms. It's hard to tell. Like, is it basically just one room?
No, it's two separate rooms. There's a laundry in 110 and there's a laundry in 114.
Okay. Got it. And what is the type of heat in the building? Is that gas? I'm wondering if that's why there's so many gas meters.
Let me just look at my notes. I don't want to confuse the projects. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I'll just mention the picture of the boiler appears to be a gas-fired oil boiler.
That's
what
correct.
it looks like.
Right.
Yeah.
So it serves multiple apartments.
That's correct. I'm sorry, Laura, did I answer the question?
You did, I'm sorry, yes, you did.
I did. Okay, yeah, gas heat, yes.
So I guess back to the sort of the relationship of the stair and the laundry room again. So when you
Yes.
come down those 6 steps, you pass the door to the downstairs basement apartment, and then are you like right away in the laundry room, or do you have to like go through some other spaces to get to the laundry room?
No, there's about a 20-foot long hallway that brings you directly to the laundry room.
Okay.
And just solid
And-
surface walls on both sides, heading to the laundry room in the corridor.
Would it be difficult to put a door in that hallway so that the laundry room is not directly connected to the stair? So that's,
I don't believe
again,
it. I don't believe it would be difficult at all. I believe the opening into the laundry room would fit a door on both sides. So both laundry rooms
Okay.
could theoretically have a door into them.
Okay. Or I'm thinking more like in the hallway itself, so like basically to separate the stair from the basement, like would there be a way to put a door in the corridor? So, like, you know, maybe the door, the
Very
door to the
wide
apartment might
stairs
have,
that are open. It might be a little difficult to do that where you're asking.
I know without a plan, it's hard to see what the layout is, you know, so I'm just imagining, I'm just trying to think what could prevent a fire from going up the stairs, you know?
Right.
Since it's open.
Correct. I think we could certainly separate the areas of where the gas units are in terms of laundry. We could get a fire rated door in that hallway somewhere that could separate the two areas from the stairs. We could certainly do that. But to put one
Closer,
Closer to the stairs.
Closer
stair
to the
level might be a little
stairs.
more difficult.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, there does seem to be an excessive amount of meters if it's only the gas dryers and the building heating system. I think I counted like 17 gas meters.
Yeah, there's
Just in the one picture.
one for each unit. Again, it's electric stoves. And the heat is run off the boilers, so I'm not sure why there's so many.
That's what it's probably set up at one point for gas stoves.
Okay. So nothing in those units are actually gas driven?
That's
Because
correct.
it's- Okay. Interesting.
Which is strange because most of the time things were converted from electric to
Right,
gas,
right.
not from gas to something else.
I have no more questions.
Further questions? Deliberation?
Yeah.
Yep. Like to go off the record? I'll be right back, Dan.
Okay.
Upon hearing the application of Burns Management, for 110-114 Union Street Associates, 1732 Western Avenue, Albany, New York, and upon taking testimony.
Excuse me, I have one
I'm
clarification.
sorry.
I'm
This
so
is
sorry.
wrong.
I'm so sorry. I did contact my property maintenance man. And
Yep.
although they did conversions to go from gas to electric for the stoves, only one stove, and that's in obviously the property manager's apartment, is electric. The rest are in fact gas still.
Okay,
Okay.
I
That explains it.
apologize about that.
that's all right.
Thought that was good.
That's the only change that I have.
Okay.
It's a big one.
Change it.
Shaheen, do you have any comments?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. So I'll start at the top. Upon hearing the applications of Burns Management for 110-114 Union Street Associates, 1732 Western Avenue, Albany, New York, and upon taking testimony and hearing argument thereon at a duly noted hearing before the Capital Region Albany Regional Board of Review via video conference call WebEx at One Commerce Plaza, 99 Washington Avenue, room 505, Albany, New York, 12232 on March 19th, 2025. And on all other papers in this matter, the board makes the following determination. Nature of the grievance and relief sought. The petition pertains to the unfinished basement ceiling of an existing three-story type 3B 40 dwelling unit, multiple residence building located at 110-114 Union Street, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York. Relief is requested from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 30, cellar ceilings, which states that in every such dwelling, 3 stories or more in height, the ceiling of the cellar or the lowest story, if there be no cellar, shall be fire retarded and or be equipped with a sprinkler system unless such ceiling has already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. Petitioner requests release for the partially finished basement of a 3-story apartment building which requires a finished plaster ceiling or sprinkler system in the basement. Findings of fact. Number 1, that the building is the subject of the petition is located at 110-114 Union Street, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York. Number 2, that the building is subject of the building that is the subject of this petition is properly classified under Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 1, Section 433 as a multiple dwelling. Number 3, that the subject building is approximately 13,500 square feet in gross area, was originally constructed around 1948 and contains 40 dwelling units. Dwelling units are located in basement on the 1st floor, 2nd floor, and 3rd floor. Number 4, that the subject building is required to conform with the provisions of Article 3 of the Multiple Residence Law as provided in Section 25, in that it existed on July 1st, 1952, or was converted to a multiple dwelling after July 1st, 1952, and is not a hotel or similar dwelling subject to Article 4 of the Multiple Residence Law. Number 5, that the subject building is a Type 3B construction, 3 stories in height. The basement is partially finished with dwelling units located in a limited area along with an enclosed boiler room with fire-rated separation. All dwelling units have plastered ceilings, walls, and fire-rated self-closing doors. Number 6, that the petitioner states in the narrative that all dwelling unit entry door is self-closing, rated doors, that walls are plaster coated and rated to 1 hour, and all common areas of multiple code compliant means of egress. The stairs leading from the basement are open, however, finished ceilings are present throughout the egress corridors and above stairways. Number 7, that the petitioner states that the basement contains boiler room, which is self-contained, equipped with finished ceiling and 1 hour rated walls and self-closing door. The existing battery operated and carbon smoke detectors shall be replaced with UL certified hardwired combination smoke and seal detection devices. Number 8, the petitioner states that a common laundry area is located in the basement that have electric and gas dryers that are currently installed. The ceiling is not finished in some common areas. The existing battery operated smoke and carbon monoxide detectors shall be replaced with UL certified hardware combination smoke and CO detector devices. Number 9, petitioner states in the narrative along with accompanying photos, note that some common spaces have unfinished ceilings and a sprinkler system is not installed. Number 10, the petitioner states that the existing smoke and carbon monoxide detector smoke alarm throughout interior spaces. The detectors are 10-year lithium battery operated devices. Number 11, the petitioner states that the battery operated smoke and carbon monoxide detectors will be completely removed and replaced with UL listed hardwired combination smoke and CO detection devices. Number 12, the petitioner states that the existing battery operated smoke detectors in the bedroom areas will remain. Number 13, that the property owner shall hire a third-party independent code certified inspection agency to test the alarm annually at a minimum and shall submit inspection results to the City of Schenectady Building Department. Inspection report shall also be left on site readily available. Number 14, the petitioner states that the fire extinguishers are located throughout the building in common areas. Number 15, the petitioner is seeking relief from consolidated laws of New York 61B, multiple residence law, Article 3, Section 30, unfinished ceilings in the lowest level or basement. Number 16, the petitioner states the building has been regularly inspected by the City of Schenectady Code Enforcement Department and has passed every inspection. Number 17, the local code official has been consulted in this matter and supports the granting of the variance under Part 1205. Number 18, the building shall otherwise comply with all other local and state building codes and local ordinances. Conclusion of law. The proposed variance will not substantially adversely affect the code's provision for health, safety, and security. Strict compliance with the provisions of the Uniform Fire and Building Code would entail practical difficulties, economic hardships, or would otherwise be unwarranted because such would be a physical or legally impractical, would be unnecessary in light of alternatives which, without a loss of level of safety, achieve the intended objective of the code. Determination, wherefore it is determined that the application for a variance of Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 30B, and is hereby granted with the following conditions. Number 1, that the interconnected smoke and carbon monoxide detectors be provided and located throughout the building as required by current code. Number 2, that the property owner shall hire a third-party independent code certified inspection agency to test the alarm system annually at a minimum and shall submit inspection results to the City of Schenectady Building Department. Inspection reports shall also be left on site to be readily available for inspections. Number 3, that all the smoke and carbon monoxide devices shall be interconnected together as one system and in conformance with NFPA 72. Number 4, that any entrance door, every door opening into any entrance hall, stair hall, or other public hall connected there within shall be self-closing. Number 5, that every stair leading from the cellar to the floor above shall be enclosed with fire retardant partitions and equipped with self-closing fire-rated doors and locations to be approved by the authority having jurisdiction. Number 6, no tenant storage shall be allowed in the basement. And now read in the short form EAF for negative declaration for short EAF Board of Review. Number one, that the Board of Review find and determine that the issuance of a variance in petition 2025-008 will not have a significant environmental impact and will not have a significant adverse effect on any significant fish or wildlife habitat, scenic resource of statewide significance, important agricultural land, or an area included in an approved local waterfront revitalization program. And number two, that the Department of State be authorized to sign and deliver on behalf of the Board of Review and the Department of State the State Environmental Quality Review Act short environmental assessment form indicating that no or small impact may occur in response to each question of part 2 of the form and determining in part 3 of the form that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. I have a motion from the board member.
Laura motions.
I have a second.
Sure.
For the board members, Ms. Ryder,
Aye.
Ms. Coons,
Aye.
Mr. Behringer.
Aye.
Mr. Badali,
Aye.
and Mr. Ellis, aye. And let the record show, we have 5 ayes, 0 nays. This decision is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. Chairman Andy Ellis, board members Laura Ryder, Jackie Coons, Jared Behringer, Shaheen Badali, all concur. So ordered. Go to next case.
I know that's what my term, so they let it fall.
So our fourth case of the day is petition number 2025-009. Petitioner Stephen Lachansky.
Hello, folks. Dan Morelli again. Morelli Design and Construction, 5159 Western Turnpike, Altamont, New York. I'm representing Stephen Lachansky in his request for relief from New York State MRL Section 30, which requires cellar ceilings to be fire retarded or equipped with a sprinkler system. Mr. Lachansky owns a 3-story, 5-unit structure located at 225 Union Street in the city of Schenectady, New York, classified as an R2 occupancy with type 3B construction and a total gross floor area of approximately 6,288 square feet, including an unfinished full basement. The building was constructed circa 1900 and lays out as follows. The entry to the full basement is equipped with a fire-rated self-closing door. The basement is unfinished and has no sprinkler system and currently has one existing UL-approved interconnected hardwired combination smoke and carbon monoxide detector at a common location in the basement. The homeowner has agreed to remove all the disabled devices that are battery operated that were present and in use prior to the hardwired system. There is no laundry service or storage within the building. The first floor has 2 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, one in the front, one in the rear. Each individual dwelling unit is finished with plaster or drywall ceilings and currently have existing 10-year lithium battery-operated combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at designated locations inside each unit, which will be swapped out with UL-approved interconnected hardwired smoke and carbon monoxide detectors in conjunction with the pre-existing hardwired interconnected combination carbon smoke detectors that are currently in the common hallways and stairways. So the battery operated devices will be removed from the units, replaced with interconnected hardwired devices that are connected to the existing hardwired system in the common areas. There are currently 10-year lithium battery operated smoke detectors present in the bedrooms, which shall remain as is. There are multiple code compliant means of egress, and the property owner has agreed to have the UL approved interconnected hardwired detection system tested by an independent inspection agency and file a report with the City of Schenectady code enforcement official prior to any inspections. The homeowner has also agreed to provide self-closing devices on all entrance doors into each dwelling unit, which do not exist upon inspection at the current time. The second floor level has two one-bedroom apartments. Each individual dwelling unit is finished with plaster drywall ceilings and are laid out identical to the first floor that we just spoke about. The 10-year lithium battery combination detectors inside each unit will be swapped out with hardwired devices and connected to the pre-existing hardwired interconnected devices that are in the hallway and common areas. There are currently 10-year lithium battery operated smoke detectors in the bedrooms, which will remain. And there are multiple code compliant means of egress from the second floor. And the third floor is identical to the second floor, except for the fact that it's just one studio apartment. The existing 10-year lithium combination unit will be removed and replaced with a hardwired interconnected carbon monoxide hardwired detector in the unit and connected to the existing devices in the hallway. The applicant is seeking relief from New York Section 30 based on the following findings of fact. The structure has been inspected in recent years for compliance with the 2020 New York State Building Code by the City of Schenectady Code Enforcement Office for the issuance of rental certificates, and the property owner proposes to install and maintain above listed devices to meet the requirement for hardwired, interconnected, UL-rated code compliant detection system throughout the building, as well as self-closing entrance doors into each dwelling unit. Installing a fire retardant ceiling in the unfinished common areas of the pre-existing basement or a sprinkler system would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden on the property owner and the tenants. And the MEP obstructions currently present in the exposed portion of the basement ceiling make it physically impracticable. The alternate measure to achieve the intended objective is the installation of the hardwired interconnected UL-rated code compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detection system as noted. The 10-year lithium battery operated smoke detectors inside each bedroom shall remain. Self-closing devices shall be added to each door leading to a unit. And the fire rated self-closing door that exists leading into the basement shall remain as is. So based on the testimony provided today, the applicant requests relief from New York State Section 30 for cellar ceilings. Are there any questions for me?
This is Jared from the board. So I'm just looking, and when you bring this property up, it looks like 2 stories from the front, and it looks like it's got a bump out for that 3rd floor apartment in the middle
Correct.
of the structure. But
Correct.
on the listed for the municipality for the property description report, it's listed as only 2 stories. So MRL code comes into effect when it's 3 stories or more.
Correct.
So my question is that a legal apartment, that one that you're saying that is studio, or has that been it's been approved prior to this or listed? Because is that a single means of egress going in and out of that apartment?
Into the studio apartment
Correct.
is the question. Okay. There is a fire escape
Okay.
as a second means of egress for the studio apartment, as well as a back set of stairwell leading to grade. So there are 2 means of egress for the studio apartment. I have to assume, even though it's listed in the property report as a 2-story, that it's been inspected for many years with the studio apartment. So I have to assume that it's code compliant based on what the city has inspected. That's what I can tell you. It is a
This is-
two-story building with the addition on the back.
This is Jackie from the board. This is,
Hello.
what Jared's reading is published from ImageMate Online, which is the online version of the assessor's data. And typically when it's something like that, they would put it as a two-story and then they would add an additional half-story to the rest of their data, which doesn't look like it shows. It shows gross floor area, but it doesn't break it down. So it's probably deceiving how it is written on this data sheet. If you saw the whole picture of what the assessment data collection is, it might reflect it differently. So as long as Dan is willing to confirm that it's been inspected by the city, I don't know how deep we can dive into the history.
Yeah, and I can tell you.
The big difference is
It's three,
yeah.
because three to an assessor is a full three, but three to the MRL is the fact that there's that third story, even though it's a half a story.
right.
So they're probably assessed for 2.5 stories, but the MRL applies because it's that third
That
level of
extra
living
story above.
space.
All right.
This is Laura
Yeah,
on the
I'm looking
board.
at that same ImageMate report too, and I see what you're looking at.
Yeah.
There's no reference to
Laura.
the studio unit.
Dan, is there only one stair to the basement?
Yes,
Is that the rear?
yes,
Okay. And so that does have, you're saying that does have a fire rated self-closing door at the top of that stair.
that's
I assume
correct.
it's part of the rest of the rear stair, so it's just separated there on at the
That's
first
correct,
floor level.
yes.
This is Jackie. Is the picture you submitted of the stairs, the doors at the top of that last page of the pictures there?
I believe it is. Let me just confirm that.
It looks like maybe there's a doorknob and there's a door open when you took that. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, so we had the door propped open for the photo. I thought I had a better picture of that from the top looking down. I'm not seeing it, and if you don't have it, then I probably
No.
didn't take that. But the door is in fact at the top of the stairs with a self-closing device.
And of course, you'll get all that debris out of the stairway that's at the top of the stairs, right?
Yeah, yes, I think he's already done that actually. You know, it's funny, not to go off track here. Typically, our schedule's been really busy, but typically we do these inspections, file them, get the petition number several months prior to meeting. In the past, I've tried to walk through the building several days before our hearing. In this particular case, on all of today's, I didn't get a chance to do that. So I don't know the current condition as it stands today. I do know what it stood like at the time of the inspection, and I did speak with each homeowner yesterday and again this morning, and they basically told me what the changes were. This particular one said he did clean up the property.
Looks like you've got a discontinuous handrail there too. But that's not what we're here for. All right. So Dan, again, just your, the alarm system is the same as the last one. You're swapping out combinations, smokes and carbons with a sort of essentially a building-wide system. So basement, first, second, and third are all connected on that one system, but individual bedrooms will have battery operated smokes.
That's correct.
Okay. All right.
I am good.
I'm good too.
Shaheen, do you have any comments or questions? Going to
Do we need
deliberate.
to deliberate?
I just have a couple questions.
Okay,
Sorry.
deliberate.
Yep, just for a few minutes, Stan. Go off the record.
Okay.
I'm here in the application of Stephen Latansky, 2015 Lisa Lane, Schenectady, New York. And upon taking testimony and hearing argument thereon at a duly noted hearing before the Capital Region Albany Regional Board of Review, held via video conference call WebEx at 1 Commerce Plaza, 99 Washington Avenue, room 505, Albany, New York, 12232 on March 19, 2025. And upon all of the papers in this matter, the board makes the following determination. Nature of their grievance and relief sought. The petition pertains to an existing 3-story, 5-dwelling unit apartment house of type 3B ordinary construction, seeking relief for the existing unfinished basement ceiling located at 225 Union Street, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York. Relief is requested from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 30, cellar ceilings, which states that in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height, the ceiling of the cellar or the lowest story, if there be no cellar, shall be fire rated or be equipped with a sprinkler system, unless such ceiling has already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. Petitioner requests relief, Article 3, Section 30, where the basement ceiling is required to be plastered or finished so that a 1-hour fire barrier is provided between floors or a sprinkler system is installed in lieu of finished rated ceiling. Finding of facts. Number 1, that the building is the subject of this petition is located at 1225 Union Street, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York. Number 2, that the building that is the subject of this petition is properly classified under Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 1, Section 433, as a multiple dwelling. Number 3, the subject building is required to conform with the provisions of Article 3 of the Multiple Residence Law as provided in Section 25, and that it existed on July 1st, 1952, or was converted to a multiple dwelling after July 1st, 1952, and is not a hotel or similar dwelling subject to Article 4 of the Multiple Residence Law. Number 4, the subject building is approximately 6,288 square feet in gross area, was originally constructed around 1900, and contains 5 dwelling units with dwelling units located as the following: 2 one-bedroom apartments on the first, a single and a 2-bedroom apartment on the second, and a 3rd floor studio apartment. Number 5, the petitioner states that installing fire-rated gypsum board or plastered the basement ceiling would prove to be physically impractical, as the existing plumbing pipes, heating pipes, electrical wiring, and other mechanical equipment present present multiple impediments and would pose substantial difficulties with the installation. Number 6, the petitioner states in the narrative that all dwelling unit entry doors are self-closing rated doors, that the halls are plaster coated and rated to 1 hour at all common areas, and the multiple code compliant means of egress. The stairs leading from the basement are open, however, finished ceilings are present throughout the egress corridors and above stairways. Number 7, the petitioner states that there are multiple code compliant means of egress defined by the New York State Multiple Residence Law. Number 8, the petitioner states that the existing smoke and carbon monoxide detector alarm throughout interior spaces. The detectors are 10-year lithium battery operated devices. Number 9, the petitioner states that the battery operated smoke and carbon monoxide detectors will be swapped out for UL listed hardwired combination smoke and CO detector devices. Number 10, that the property owner shall hire a third-party independent code certified inspection agency to test the alarm annually at a minimum and shall submit inspection results to the City of Schenectady Building Department. Inspection reports shall also be left on site and be readily available for inspection. Number 11, the petitioner states that the existing single combination detectors will be replaced with a minimum of 2 hardwired combination smoke carbon monoxide detectors or as required by the city code enforcement. Number 12, the local code official has been consulted in this matter and supports the granting of the variance under Part 1205. Number 13, the building shall otherwise comply with all other local and state building codes and local ordinances. Conclusion of law, the proposed variance will not substantially adversely affect the code's provision for health, safety, and security. Strict compliance with the provisions of the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code would entail practical difficulties, economic hardship, or would otherwise be unwarranted. Because such would be physically or illegally impracticable or legally impracticable, or would be unnecessary in light of alternatives, which without a loss of level of safety achieve the intended objective of the code. Determination. Wherefore, it is determined that the application for variance from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 30B, and is hereby proposed or hereby granted with the following conditions. Number 1, that the interconnected smoke and carbon monoxide detectors be provided and located throughout the building as required by current code. Number 2, that the property owner shall hire a third-party independent code certified inspection agency to test the alarm annually at a minimum and shall submit inspection results to the City of Schenectady Building Department. Inspection reports shall also be left on site and be readily available for inspection. Number 3, that all the smoke and carbon monoxide devices shall be interconnected together as one system and in conformance with NFPA 72. Number 4, that any entrance door and every door opening into any entrance hall, stair hall, or other public hall connected there within shall be self-closing. Number 5, that every stair leading from the cellar to the floor above shall be enclosed with a fire retardant partitions and equipped with self-closing fire-rated door. Locations to be approved by the authority having jurisdiction. Number 6, tenant storage or laundry services or equipment shall not be allowed in the unfinished basement area. Now I'll read into the record the short environmental assessment form for negative declaration for short EAF for the Board of Review. Number 1, that the Board of Review find and determine that the issuance of a variance in petition 2025-0009 will not have a significant environmental impact and will not have a significant adverse effect on any significant fish or wildlife habitat, scenic resource, or statewide significance, important agricultural land or area included in an approved local waterfront revitalization program. And 2, that the Department of State be authorized to sign and deliver on behalf of the Board of Review and the Department of State, A, the State Environmental Quality Review Act short environmental assessment form indicating that no or small impact may occur in response to each question in Part 2 of the form, and determine in Part 3 of the form that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. Can I have a motion from a board member?
I'll motion.
Motion by Jackie Rooms. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Laura Ryder. Poll the board members. Ms. Ryder,
Aye.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Behringer,
Aye.
Mr. Badali,
Aye.
and Mr. Ellis, aye. And for the record, let it show that there are 5 ayes, 0 nays. This decision is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specification presented in support of the application. Chairman Andy Ellis and board members Laura Ryder, Jackie Coons, Jared Berenger, Shaheen Badali, all concur. So ordered. Move on to petition 2025-0010, petitioner Joseph Salvia. Open it up to you, Dan.
All right. Dan Morelli, office located at 5159 Western Turnpike, Altamont, New York. I'm representing Joseph Salvo and his request for relief from sections 30 and 31 of the New York State MRL law. Mr. Salvo owns a multifamily residence located at 229 Union Street in the city of Schenectady, which is a 3-story structure with a full basement. Currently has 4 residential dwelling units and is classified as an R2 occupancy with type 3B construction and a total gross floor area of approximately 3,960 square feet. The building was constructed circa 1948 and lays out as follows. The full basement is unfinished, has no sprinkler system, and currently has no working life safety devices present. 2 new 10-year lithium battery operated, interconnected, UL rated code compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors shall be installed in the proposed basement at designated locations. There is currently 1 fire-rated self-closing door leading to the basement, which shall remain. There is currently an existing boiler in the basement, but no laundry or storage present in the basement. The property owner agrees to hire an independent inspection agency to inspect the detection system on an annual basis and file an on-site report prior to contacting city codes for their required inspections. The first, second, and third floors are pretty much identical. Each individual dwelling unit is finished with plaster drywall ceilings that currently have 10-year lithium single station battery operated combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at designated locations throughout the building, which will be swapped out with 10-year lithium interconnected UL rated code compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at the same locations. Also currently present are 10-year lithium single station battery operated smoke detectors inside each bedroom, which shall remain. Non-self-closing doors from common areas in each dwelling unit will be swapped with self-closing doors, and there are multiple code compliant means of egress from the units. All devices being replaced will be totally disabled and removed from the premises upon completion of the new system. And that new system will be tested prior to contacting the city codes. The applicant is seeking relief from MRL sections 30 and 31 based on the following findings of facts. The structure has been inspected yearly in recent years for compliance with the 2020 New York State Building Code by the City of Schenectady Code Enforcement Office for issuance of rental certificates, and the property owner proposes to install and maintain the above listed devices to meet the requirements for battery-operated interconnected system throughout the building, as well as fire-rated and/or self-closing entrance doors as required. Installing a fire-retardant ceiling in unfinished common areas of the pre-existing basement or a sprinkler system would create an excessive and unreasonable economic burden in addition to the MEP obstructions that are now present. The alternate measure to achieve the intended objective is the presence of interconnected, battery-operated, UL-rated code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors as designated locations throughout the building. The existing 10-year lithium battery-operated smoke detectors inside each bedroom, self-closing doors into the units, the fire-rated self-closing door leading to the basement, and the multiple code-compliant means of egress. So based on the information provided in today's testimony, the applicant requests relief from MRL section 30 and 31. Are there any questions? Ironically, this building's right next door to the one we just previously reviewed.
Say modifications. It's got the thing about the two is.
So they're asking for a M.
That, yes. But it's just weird, this one has, they're all just one. We opening up the questions?
Yeah, open up the questions for the board, from the board.
This is Laura, the board. Dan, I got a
Laura.
question for you.
Yes,
Is there only one stair to the basement again, this one?
there's only one stair to the basement, yes.
Okay, so in your narrative, it says there is currently a fire-rated self-closing door leading to the basement, and yet section 31 for cellar stairs enclosure is on this list. So is that an oversight on the Jackson's part?
I'm sorry, Laura, say that one more time.
It says, Laura, after that, it says it has a self-closing door, but it doesn't have the rated
So
enclosure. Look in the parentheses after, on the second page there.
Oh, is that on my?
On which sheet?
information?
So, is this on the staff analysis? On this one?
Or this is
Yeah.
Tony Tillett from the Department of State.
Yes.
I called the
Yes.
local code official to question that, and his comment was, is there's walls leading from that door down into the stairs, but they're just
Right.
stud walls. They're not enclosed.
Okay. I see, got it. So the door's there, but the walls are not finished.
And he gave us a
Right.
picture of the door.
All right, I didn't catch that. All right.
So that's the way they, normally the
Understood.
door
So
would have been
the
at the
door,
bottom of the
the
stairs
issue is
versus
the
the
walls.
top.
Got it.
So to clarify, it's not the door that's an issue, it's the stairs going from the door down into the basement.
Correct.
So looking at the picture of the stairs, it's that straight,
Looks like there's a basement
Cutout.
window.
yeah, it's probably not a rated opening. That is probably under the new back porch. If you look on the, one of the first ones, it looks like they built an addition over where the old window was. So now you have an unprotected opening to a floor above. So rather than fill in that opening, they're just asking for relief from that. Which I don't know why they couldn't fill it in with a lock, but whatever. So
Mr. Morelli, are you following what?
I'm
Or
a
question.
bit confused, actually.
Okay.
Do you have a photograph that shows unfinished walls?
I don't,
Can
I
you
don't,
stare
see-
right
Well,
into
we
the
have this
basement?
one that shows an opening, but it's an opening over here. That was probably an old window until they
Oh,
built that.
yeah,
Where
I
addition-
have the same photo.
So this
Yes.
opening goes under the floor of the addition,
That's correct.
so that's why.
I see. So this, I see. So
Why can't they just fill in the window?
They can.
exactly.
They can.
But will that create an unventilated crawl spacey situation where you're gonna have no, air movement and mold?
Well, and then I guess they would still have to fill all these penetrations at the stair
Stairs,
treads
right.
in his
Right.
risers. So it would probably be impractical at that point to do all of those void spaces. And the stairs probably need some room to expand. If there would with the ambient, yeah, because they won't expand at the same rate, right, depending on the ambient conditions. So. Okay.
So what do we think about that? Yes.
I mean, if they filled in the square opening, we'd still have that issue at the stairs. So would that gain us anything by filling in the opening?
So was that plaster on the stairs that they put on after the fact? Is that,
Or is that paint?
or is it just paint? Right, I don't know.
I think that's a concrete wall.
Okay.
And I think they painted over it.
Correct.
Because you can see like the texture of the concrete
Right.
within the paint.
So, Dan, is that wall to the right where the handrail is, that's not a rated wall either? That's just,
That looks like concrete.
is that concrete
It is
also?
concrete, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the issue is this going under that addition. And if that addition wasn't there and went to the exterior, it'd be a non-issue.
Or it could be that that doorway at the right-hand side of the picture is not enclosed and the,
But it's enclosed at the top.
it's close to the top. That's true. Okay.
Yeah, it's just an
Above that-
opening on the right-hand side at the bottom. There's no door there.
All right.
Above the masonry walls to the, so like it would be at the level of the first floor, is that all enclosed with drywall or like above that window, or is that all open framing?
All the framing above, outside that door is enclosed.
Okay,
So that's the breach, that little window.
That little window that goes underneath
Okay.
this
Right.
all right.
thing. So, I mean.
If it is legit, then they called it out. Right. Not hard to know where that is. Built into it.
Shaheen, do you have any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
The only other thing in the back handrail.
So that's the picture. There's the window,
Oh,
but
yeah.
that's looking down.
Yeah.
With the door open.
If it was just a window, I'd say fill in the window, but
But there's issues with the
Stairs.
stair.
it looks like it could be a little more complicated. I don't have any more questions.
Other questions?
No.
We only, we only have one line in conditions that is.
We just have to make the same changes as
Yeah.
the last one.
Yeah. We'll go off the record. Thank you. I'm hearing the application of Joseph Salvio, 1155 Avon Road, Schenectady, New York, and upon taking testimony and hearing argument thereon at a duly noted hearing before the Capital Region Albany Regional Board of Review held via video conference call WebEx at 1 Commerce Plaza, 99 Washington Avenue, room 505, Albany, New York, 12232, on March 19th, 2025. And upon all other papers in this matter, the board makes the following determination. Nature of the grievance and relief sought. Petition pertains to an existing 3-story, 4-dwelling unit apartment house of type 3B ordinary construction, seeking relief for the existing unfinished basement ceiling and an unenclosed basement stairs located at 229 Union Street, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York. Relief is requested from Chapter 61B of the Constitution of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 30, cellar ceilings, which states that in every such dwelling 3 stories or more in height, the ceiling of the cellar or the lowest story, if there be no cellar, shall be fire retarded or be equipped with a sprinkler system, unless such ceiling has already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. Petitioner requests relief for unfinished basement ceiling that is not plastered or have gypsum board attached to the underside of the floor joist. And Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 31, inside cellar stairs. Every stair leading from the cellar to the floor above, and all old multiple dwellings shall be enclosed with fire retarded partitions and shall be equipped with fire retarded self-closing door located as the department may approve. The petitioner requests relief to allow the basement stair, which is not enclosed but has a self-closing fire rated door at the top of the stair. Findings of fact. Number one, that the building is the subject of this petition is located at 229 Union Street, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York. Number two, that the building is the subject of the petition is properly classified under 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 1, Section 433, as a multiple dwelling unit. Number three, the subject building is required to conform with the provisions of Article 3 of the Multiple Residence Law as provided in Section 25, in that existed on July 1st, 1952, or was converted to a multiple dwelling unit after July 1st, 1952, and is not a hotel or similar dwelling unit to Article 4 of the Multiple Residence Law. Number four, that the subject building is approximately 3,960 square feet in gross area, was originally constructed around 1948, and contains 4 dwelling units located as follows: apartment on the first floor, an apartment on the second floor, and 2 apartments on the third floor. Number five, the petitioner states in the narrative that all dwelling unit entry doors are to be replaced with self-closing rated doors, that walls are plastered, coated, and rated to 1 hour at all common areas, and multiple code compliant means of egress. The stairs leading from the basement are open. However, there is a rated self-closing door at the top of the stairwell. Finished ceilings are present throughout the egress corridors and above stairways. Number six, the petitioner states that 10-year battery-operated smoke and carbon monoxide detector alarms that will be interconnected will be installed in the basement. Petitioner states that there are multiple code compliant means of egress as defined by the New York State Multiple Residence Law. Number eight, the petitioner states that installing fire rated gypsum board or plastered the basement ceiling would be physically impractical, as the existing plumbing, heating pipes, electrical wiring, and other mechanical equipment present multiple impediments and would impose substantial difficulties with the installation. Number nine, the petitioner states that the existing smoke and carbon monoxide detector alarms throughout interior spaces. The detectors are 10-year lithium battery operated devices that are wireless interconnected devices. Number 10, the petitioner states that the battery operated smoke and carbon monoxide detectors will be swapped out for UL listed interconnected 10-year lithium battery combination smoke and CO detecting devices throughout the building. Number 11, that the property owner or a third-party independent code certified inspection agency to test the alarm system annually at a minimum and shall submit inspection results to the City of Schenectady Building Department. Inspection reports shall also be left on site and be readily available for inspection. Number 12, the local code official has been consulted in this matter and does support the granting of variance under Part 1205. Number 13, the building shall otherwise comply with all other local and state building codes and local ordinances. Conclusion of law. The proposed variance will not substantially adversely affect the code's provision for health, safety, and security. Strict compliance with the provisions of the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code would entail practical difficulties, economic hardship, or would otherwise be unwarranted because such would be a physical or legally impracticable, or would otherwise necessarily, in light of alternatives which, without a loss in level of safety, achieve the intended objective of the code. determination. Wherefore, it is determined that the application of the variance from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 30 and 31, be and is hereby granted with the following conditions. Number one, that the interconnected smoke and carbon monoxide detectors be provided and located throughout the building as required by current code. Number two, that the property owner shall hire a third-party independent code certified inspection agency to test the alarm annually at a minimum and shall submit inspection results to the City of Schenectady Building Department. Inspection reports shall also be left on site and be ready available for inspection. Number three, that all the smoke and carbon monoxide devices shall be interconnected together as one system in conformance with NFPA 72. Number four, that any entrance door and every door opening into any entrance hall, stair hall, or other public hall connected there within shall be self-closing. Number five, the tenant storage, laundry service, or equipment shall not be allowed in the unfinished basement area. I'll read the short environmental assessment form for negative declaration for short EAF for the Board of Review. That the Board of Review find, number one, that the Board of Review find and determine that the issuance of a variance in petition 2025-0010 will not have a significant environmental impact, will not have a significant adverse effect on any significant fish or wildlife habitat, scenic resource of statewide significance, important agricultural land, or area included in an approved local waterfront revitalization program. And two, that the Department of State be authorized to sign and deliver on behalf of the Board of Review and the Department of State, A, the State Environmental Quality Review Act short environmental assessment form indicating that no or small impact may occur in response to each question in part 2 of the form and determining in part 3 of the form that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impact. I have a motion. Motion by Mr. Behringer. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Jackie Coons. Now poll the board members. Ms. Ryder,
Aye.
Ms. Coons,
Aye.
Mr. Behringer.
Aye.
Mr. Badali,
Aye.
and Mr. Ellis, aye. For the record, 5 ayes, 0 nays. This decision is limited to the specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. Chairman Andy Ellis and board members Laura Ryder, Jackie Coons, Jared Behringer, Shaheen Badali all concur. So ordered. To our last petition of the day. And we have petition 2025-0011. And pardon me
Almost
for
there.
trying to pronounce that.
Heronmoy Chakraborty.
Aramway Chakraborty. Okay.
Okay, Dan Morelli again, representing Mr. Hiranmoy Chakraborty and his request for relief from MRL Section 30 and 31. The pre-existing multifamily residence located at 862 to 864 Albany Street in the city and county of Schenectady, state of New York, is a 3-story structure with a full basement. Currently has 6 dwelling units, 3 on the 2nd floor and 3 on the 3rd floor, and it was constructed circa 1930. The 1st floor is currently a vacant leasable commercial space. It's an R2 occupancy classification, a 3B construction type with a total gross floor area of about 7,780 square feet. Each individual dwelling unit is finished with plaster or drywall ceilings and currently have 10-year lithium combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at designated locations throughout the building, which will be swapped out with hardwired, interconnected, UL-rated, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon detectors at similar locations, including common hallways, stairwells, and one inside each dwelling unit. There are currently 10-year lithium battery-operated smoke detectors inside each bedroom, self-closing doors from common areas into each individual dwelling unit, and multiple code-compliant means of egress, which will remain as is. There are currently hardwired emergency lights and illuminated exit signs at designated locations throughout the building. The full basement is unfinished, has no sprinkler system, and currently has 10-year lithium combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at designated locations, which will be swapped out with hardwired, interconnected, UL-rated, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at similar locations. There are currently 2 non-fire rated, non-self-closing doors leading to the basement, which will be swapped out with fire-rated, self-closing doors at each location. There is currently 1 gas boiler and 1 gas hot water heater located in the basement, and they both appear to be properly vented to the exterior. The property owner has agreed to hire an independent inspection agency to inspect the detection system on an annual basis, file an on-site report prior to contacting the city codes for their final inspection, and is requesting relief from section 30 and 31 based on the following findings of fact. The structure has been inspected recently in years for compliance with the 2020 New York State Building Code by the City of Schenectady Code Enforcement Office for issuance of rental certificates. And the property owner proposes to perform the above listed actions to meet the requirements as previously discussed. Installing a fire retardant ceiling in the unfinished common areas of the basement or installing a sprinkler system would be excessive, create an excessive unreasonable economic burden, and the MEP obstructions make it physically impracticable. The alternate solution to achieve the intended objective is the presence of the hardwired, interconnected, UL-rated, code-compliant combination smoke and carbon monoxide detectors at designated locations throughout the building, the 10-year lithium battery-operated smoke detectors inside each bedroom, the existing self-closing doors from common areas into each individual dwelling unit, the proposed fire-rated self-closing doors leading to the basement, and the multiple code-compliant means of egress. So based on today's testimony, the applicant seeks relief from section 30 and 31 of the MRL code. Are there any questions for me?
I'd like to open up to the board for questions.
Dan, is the first floor still vacant?
It is still vacant, yes. It's typically been leased out as like a convenience store. Right now, there's no prospective leasee per se.
This is Jackie. Is the commercial space completely separated from the residential space, or do you access through the commercial space to the residential space?
No, 2 separate entrances. If you look at the front elevation photo, the entrance to the left gets you to the apartments. The boarded up entrance to the right gets you into the store. There's a fire rated.
And the basement has, the store has no access to the basement then?
They do. There's a fire rated separation wall on the back side of the store that leads to the egress hallway from the apartments, which connects them to the basement also. So if you exit the store into the common hallway, you can access the basement that way.
Yeah. So this is Laura on the board. You say there are 2 non-fire rated, non-closing self doors leading to the basement. Are there 2 stairs to the basement? Or just
There
one
are
in
2
the back?
stairs to the basement yes, ironically on the back side of the building. For what reason, nobody knows.
Oh, they're both at the back?
They both are on the back, yes.
And are the enclosures closed? You know what I mean? Like, so there's a door at the top of the stairs, which will become a fire rated door with a closer, but are the walls themselves sheetrock or plastered
They are, yes.
or brick, right, whatever. Yeah, that one looks. Examine it, where's some of the, oh no, that's the going out front.
Dan, just to clarify, there is no apartments on the first floor. It's all a commercial space.
Correct.
So what is the current level of fire detection down there? On the first floor in the commercial space? Are there existing? There's not an existing fire alarm system.
No, there's not.
So what's currently down on the first floor?
Right now, it's basically been, based on the photograph you see, there's really nothing in place or active on the first floor right now. I know when a commercial tenant comes in, the city of Schenectady has a requirement for site plan review and of course, building department approvals. So that would be part of the reconstruction of that space to put a system in there based on what the tenant is. Most
But
likely,
that could take time.
it could.
There's
it
nobody
could.
planned to go in there right now.
There's nobody planned for the near future anyway. So something needs to be placed in that area. I would think that the hardwired system would continue into that area at such time they get a tenant for the lease space.
Yeah, and then they're gonna have to comply with everything in the existing building code for an alteration, but for right now, there's nothing in place down there.
That's correct.
Shaheen, do you have any questions or comments?
No, really, my only concern was that first floor commercial, but that was answered. Thank you.
Very good. We'll go off the record and go into deliberation. Dan will be back in a minute.
Ready? Last one.
Thank you, Dan. Upon hearing the application of Hiromi Chakraborty of 862-864 Realty LLC, 1921 Benedict Avenue, Bronx, New York, and upon taking testimony and hearing argument thereon at a duly noted hearing before the Capital Region Albany Regional Board of Review held via video conference call WebEx at 1 Commerce Plaza, 99 Washington Avenue, room 505, Albany, New York, 12231 on March 19th, 2025. And upon all of the papers in this matter, the board makes the following determination. Nature of the grievance and relief sought. The petition pertains to an existing 3-story mixed-use building, 7,780 square feet, 6 dwelling unit apartment house of type 3B ordinary construction, seeking relief from the existing unfinished basement ceilings and unenclosed basement stairs located at 862-864 Albany Street, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York. Relief is requested from Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 30, cellar ceilings, which states that in every such dwelling, 3 stories or more in height, the ceiling of the cellar or of the lowest story, if there be no cellar, shall be fire retarded or be equipped with a sprinkler system unless such ceiling has already been plastered to the satisfaction of the department. Petitioner requests relief for unfinished basement ceiling that is not plastered or have gypsum board attached to the underside of the floor joist. And Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 31, inside cellar stairs. Every stair leading from the cellar to the floor above, and all old multiple dwellings shall be enclosed with fire retarded partitions and shall be equipped with fire retarded self-closing door located at the department as the department may approve. The petitioner requests relief to allow the basement stair, which is not enclosed but has a self-closing fire rated door at the top of the stair. Findings of fact. The building that is subject to this petition is located at 862-864 Albany Street, City of Schenectady, County of Schenectady, State of New York. Number two, that the building that is the subject of this petition is properly classified under Chapter 61B of the Consolidated Laws of New York, Multiple Residence Law, Article 1, Section 433, as a multiple dwelling. Number three, that the subject building is required to conform with the provisions of Article 3 of the Multiple Residence Laws provided in Section 25, and that they existed on July 1st, 1952, or was converted to a multiple dwelling after July 1st, 1952, and is not a hotel or a similar dwelling subject to Article 4 of the Multiple Residence Law. Number four, the subject building is approximately 7,780 square feet in gross area, was originally constructed around 1930 and contains 6 dwelling units located as follows. First floor is vacant commercial space with 3 apartments on the second floor, 3 apartments on the third floor. Number 5, the petitioner states in the narrative that all dwelling unit entry doors are replaced by self-closing rated doors, that all walls are plaster coated and rated to 1 hour at all common areas, and that multiple code compliant means of egress. The stairs leading from the basement are open, however, existing doors to the basement shall be replaced with rated self-closing door. Finished ceilings are present throughout the egress corridors and above stairways. For 6, the petitioner states that the basement presently has 10-year battery-operated smoke and carbon monoxide detector alarms that will be replaced with hardwired interconnected device throughout the basement. Number 7, the basement is unoccupied except for a boiler room, which is enclosed with a fire-rated gypsum board and self-closing door where the boiler room is properly vented. Number 8, the petitioner states that there are multiple code compliant means of egress as defined by New York State Multiple Residence Law. Number 9, the petitioner states that installing fire-rated gypsum board or plastering the basement ceiling would prove to be physically impractical as the existing plumbing pipes, heating pipes, electrical wiring, and other mechanical equipment present multiple impediments and would impose substantial difficulties with the installation. Number 10, the petitioner states that the existing smoke and carbon monoxide detector alarms throughout interior spaces, the detectors are 10-year lithium battery operated devices that are wirelessly or interconnected devices. Number 11, the petitioner states that the battery operated smoke and carbon monoxide detectors will be swapped out for UL listed interconnected 10-year lithium battery combination smoke and CO detection devices throughout the building. Number 11, that the property owner shall hire a third-party independent code certified inspection agency to test the alarm system annually at a minimum and shall submit inspection results to the City of Schenectady Building Department. Inspection reports shall also be left on site and be readily available for inspection. Number 13, the local code official has been consulted in this matter and supports the granting of the variance under Part 1205. Number 14, the building shall otherwise comply with all other local and state building codes and local ordinances. Conclusion of law, The proposed variance will not substantially adversely affect the code's provision for health, safety, and security. Strict compliance with the provision of the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code would entail practical difficulties, economic hardship, or would otherwise be unwarranted because such would be physically or legally impracticable, or would be unnecessary in light of alternatives which, without a loss of level of safety, achieve the intended objective of the code. Determination. Wherefore it is determined that the application of a variance from Chapter 61B, the Consolidated Laws of New York Multiple Residence Law, Article 3, Section 30 and 31, be and is hereby granted with the following conditions. Number one, that the interconnected smoke and carbon monoxide detectors be provided and located throughout the building as required by current code, and includes the vacant commercial space until such time that further alterations are permitted. Number two, that the property owner shall hire a third-party independent code certified inspection agency to test the alarm system annually at a minimum, and shall submit inspection results to the City of Schenectady Building Department. Inspection reports shall also be left on site and readily available for inspection. Number three, that all the smoke and carbon monoxide devices shall be interconnected together as one system and in conformance with NFPA 72. Number four, that any entrance door and every door opening into any entrance hall, stair hall, or other public hall connected therewithin shall be self-closing. Number five, tenant storage or laundry service or equipment shall not be allowed in the unfinished basement area. Now I'll read into the record the short environmental assessment form EAF. For negative declaration of the short EAF for Board of Review. Number one, that the Board of Review find and determine that the issuance of a variance in petition 2025-0011 will not have a significant environmental impact and will not have a significant adverse effect on any significant fish or wildlife habitat, scenic resource of statewide significance, important agricultural land, or area included in the approved local waterfront revitalization program. And number two, that the Department of State be authorized to sign and deliver on behalf of the Board of Review and the Department of State, A, the State Environmental Quality Review Act short environmental assessment form indicating that no or small impact may occur in response to each question in part 2 of the form and determining in part 3 of the form that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. I have a motion from.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Ryder makes a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Chair Berenger, second. All the board members, Ms. Ryder,
Aye.
Ms. Coombs,
Aye.
Mr. Berenger,
Aye.
Mr. Badali,
Aye.
Mr. Ellis, aye. For the record, let the vote show 5 ayes, 0 nays. This decision is limited to specific building and application before it as contained within the petition and should not be interpreted to give implied approval of any general plans or specifications presented in support of this application. Chairman Andy Ellis, members Laura Ryder, Jackie Coombs, Jared Berenger, and Shaheen Badali all concur. So ordered. That concludes our hearings today. Thank you, Dan, for all your help.
Thank you, folks. It's been a pleasure working with you today. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Go off the record.
Thanks, Dan.